Good evening, and welcome to the 61st Annual Honors Banquet. I am Todd Boscher, Principal of Tunkhannock Area High School, and on behalf of the high school staff, I'd like to welcome you to tonight's event. In 1959, I am sure that the creators of the then-named Scholarship Banquet could not have envisioned a virtual event. Though it seems we are celebrating separately, please know that the sentiment remains the same. Just as we've done for years, the Tunkhannock Area High School celebrates hard work, diligence, the pursuit of excellence, and the innate desire to learn. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Mrs. Maria O'Boyle, beloved Tunkhannock Area High School science teacher who dedicated 33 years to public education. Tunkhannock is lucky to have claimed her for 31 of those 33 years. Mrs. O'Boyle, otherwise known as Mo Boyle, is a 1980 graduate of Pittston Area High School. She graduated from the University of Scranton with a bachelor's degree in biology and secondary education. She earned her master's degree in 2013 from the New York Chiropractic College in anatomy and physiology instruction, and she retired from public education in 2017. She is the proud mother of Iana and the wife of Joe. Her colleagues offer the following observations. While at TAHS, her warm yet commanding presence and boisterous laugh made her the queen of room 127. She survived knee surgery recovery by at first being wheeled around in a desk chair, but soon channeled her inner Gregory House, Maria's favorite leading TV doctor, cane and all. Maria always had some crazy story to accompany any anatomical system students were studying. She added her own seemingly unbelievable yet true medical anecdotes. Maria was known as the resident medical expert of TAHS. Everyone went to her for a diagnosis. If she didn't have an answer, she had a plethora of connections that she would text to get one. Her colleagues and I agree, she is a TAHS legend and loved by all, students and teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, Mrs. Maria O'Boyle.
Thank you, Mr. Boscher, for the illustrious introduction. Thank you to my colleagues for their kind words, and thank you for allowing me the honor of being your speaker today. I never wanted to go to college. All my life, all I ever wanted to be was a beautician. I just wanted to do hair. My parents were having none of it. My guidance counselor, my teachers were all, "You're so smart. You could do anything. You could be anything. Why would you waste your intelligence in a career that will not challenge you?" I didn't understand. What was the big deal with not wanting to go to college? After I took the SAT in my junior year and scored fairly high, colleges started to get in touch. I thought, maybe this won't be such a bad move after all. I told my parents I did want to go to college and that I definitely wanted to go away, far away. I have 3 younger sisters, and the house was in constant chaos. My youngest sister was 3 years old when I graduated high school. I had no idea what I wanted to study, and at the time I didn't really care as long as I was going to spend at least 4 years away from home. I had a plan. Go away for college, then get a job somewhere, anywhere but here in NEPA. The week I received my acceptance letter to Penn State main campus, there were numerous sexual assaults on campus. My father tore up the letter. I was crushed. There were no other schools that really appealed to me, although at the time I had also been accepted to Wilkes College. In April of my senior year, one of my best friends talked me into applying to the University of Scranton. My acceptance letter came the following week. At that time, you could not enter the U without declaring a major. The friend who encouraged me to apply was entering pre-med. My mother said, "Why not go in as a pre-med major? Then if you want to change your major, you have already taken most of the more difficult courses." At the time, it made perfect sense. Then I actually started college. I was surrounded by people who were as smart or smarter than I was. This was a new experience for me. And most of these people had come from Jesuit prep schools. They knew how to study. They knew what was expected of them. Some of them came into the U with credits for the same classes I had taken in high school, but because I was a public school grad, I couldn't get those credits. There was no such thing as AP courses at the time. By the middle of my sophomore year, I knew med school was not for me. 4 years more of school, residency, internship, no way. I wanted out of school as soon as possible. So I went to see my advisor. The only way I could keep the majority of my credits when I changed my major was to switch to secondary ed biology. I thought, I can do that. How ironic is it that I changed my major because I didn't want to spend more time in school, and I chose a career path that would keep me in school for the next 40 years. In changing my major, I was a semester behind all my friends. So when they were graduating, going on to grad school, med school, law school, I was going back to the U for one more semester. The day I graduated college was the scariest day of my life. What if I couldn't get a job? What if I did get a job and I sucked at teaching? Oh my God, what if I really screwed up my life when I changed my major? Maybe I should have gone to med school. When I began my teaching career, it was not here in Tunkhannock. Luckily, right after graduation, I was hired as a substitute teacher in the Pittston Area School District. Whew. I wanted to, and assumed I would, spend my entire career at Pittston Area. I went to school there my whole life. I lived there. I was a Pittston Area patriot through and through. Then I received a phone call from my aunt, who was a teacher here in Tunkhannock. She told me a biology teacher was retiring and his position would be available. I was so excited and scared and anxious. I was granted an interview here at the high school, and some of you may appreciate this. Mrs. Marini was the secretary who checked me in that day. She scared the hell out of me. The interview was with the principal, Mr. Ellsworth, your Mr. Ellsworth's father, and the assistant principal, Mr. Mazzio. Maz liked me right out of the block because I'm Italian. My maiden name is Maria Gina Radigiro. Clyde was more skeptical. Longer story short, after 2 more rounds of interviews, I was notified that my name was being recommended to the school board, and I was officially hired in August of 1986. That's when I became a Tunkhannock Tiger. I married one of my high school boyfriends in '91. We were almost 30 when we married, so we did not want to wait to have children. We tried for 10 years to have a baby. We went through fertility treatments and multiple medical procedures, none of which were successful. We decided to adopt. We adopted a beautiful 13-month-old little girl from Minsk, Belarus. She is the absolute best thing to ever have happened to us. Our daughter is now 18 years old and in the same situation as you, most of you. She's a graduating senior. So I have an idea of what you and your parents are experiencing right now, and I feel so bad for everyone. During my tenure here, a biology position became available at Pittston Area. I thought, wow, this is fantastic. This is my chance to come back to Pittston Area. I can get a job closer to home, especially now that we were adopting. I applied and interviewed for the position. I was told my name would be sent to the school board and I would be recommended for hire. The night of the board meeting, someone else was hired. I was actually kind of relieved. I loved my job at Tunkhannock. My colleagues were wonderful, the support staff fantastic, the administration sometimes questionable. Above all, I had the privilege of teaching and getting to know somewhere around 5,000 fabulous students. I have become close friends with many of them and their families. Deep down, I really wanted to stay here. My heart was orange and black. I entered a master's program in 2010. The plan was to get a master's degree, retire before our daughter finished high school, get a part-time job as an adjunct at a local college that would allow Yana to go to college for free, tuition free. I entered the master's program in 2013. I finished my master's program in 2013 and retired a few years later when our daughter entered her freshman year of high school. Then I fell into a job as a part-time adjunct professor at the University of Scranton. Sometime between the time I entered the master's program and retired, all colleges and universities changed the rules of the game. You now had to be a full-time employee to be eligible for free tuition benefit. Grand planned, poof, up in smoke. All the plans I laid out in my head while in high school had completely exploded. Did I make the right decision going to the U? Maybe I should have continued pre-med. Would I ever get to do hair? As it turns out, all of my plans exploding was really a godsend. The decision to go to the University of Scranton was the right one. I really liked the small school, and 25 kids from my graduating class also went there. 11 or 12 of us are still very, very good friends to this day. Changing my major was also a great thing that happened to me. I'm a damn good teacher. I was in the right place at the right time, and the job at Tunkhannock was fortuitous. I have been so very blessed. I had a great career. I made a lot of good friends. I think I made a difference. Not being able to get pregnant and deciding to adopt were the best things ever. Our daughter is amazing, and we are truly grateful. This is the thing. Your life does not always go the way you plan. You don't necessarily always end up where you thought you wanted to be. You adjust, you explore, you adapt. The point being, you will end up where you were meant to be. Keep that in mind as you go out into the big, scary world. Remember that change is good, and adapting is difficult, but necessary to succeed in life. Embrace the change. Be the change. Use your brain and your sheer will to achieve great things. Oh, and by the way, in the mid-90s, I went to cosmetology school. So I am also a licensed cosmetologist. I do get to do hair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mo Boyle. And now Mrs. Comley from our school counseling department will present the honorees.
Thank you, Mr. Bosher, and thank you, Mrs. O'Boyle. So great to see you again. It is with great pride that I introduce the top 6 students in each class. We will now present our honorees for the class of 2023. Ranked number 6 in the class of 2023 is Nicholas DeMarco. Nicholas is the son of Anne and Chris DeMarco. 5th in the class of 2023 is Ben Canella. Ben is the son of Charles and Amy Canella. Number 4 in the freshman class is John Galella. John is the son of Mr. Terry Galella and Ms. Kimberly Schaefer. Ranked number 3 in the class of 2023 is Victoria Sluzark. Victoria is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. John Sluzark. 2nd in the class of 2023 is Zachary Kaiser. Zachary is the son of Craig and Laura Kaiser. And finally, ranked 1st in the class of 2023 is Benjamin Chilson. Ben is the son of Dr. Terrence Chilson and Dr. Rebecca Gramad Chilson. Congratulations, class of 2023. And now, the class of 2022. Ranked number 6 in the class of 2022 is Christopher Mirabelli. Christopher is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Gerard Mirabelli. Ranked number 5 in the class is Aurora Beauchesne. Aurora is the daughter of Gerard Beauchesne and Nicole Wilson. Ranked number 4 in the class of 2022 is Jordan Wagner. Jordan is the son of Jason and Catherine Wagner. Ranked number 3 in the class is Lexi Fortney. Lexi is the daughter of Brian and Sherry Fortney. 2nd in the class of 2022 is Alyssa Kowalczyk. Alyssa is the daughter of Fred and Greta Kowalczyk. And ranked number 1 for the class of 2022 is Matthew Probola. Matthew is the son of Bill and Marianne Probola. And on to our juniors, the class of 2021. Ranked number 6 in the class is Vivian Moyer. Vivian is the daughter of Jamie and D.A. Moyer. Ranked number 5 in the class is Jenna Laughinghouse. Jenna is the daughter of Anne and James Laughinghouse. Ranked number 4 in the class of 2021 is Anna Brown. Anna is the daughter of Jason and Amanda Brown. Ranked number 3 is Megan Kaiser. Megan is the daughter of Craig and Laura Kaiser. Ranked number 2 is Jillian Landon. Jillian is the daughter of Kelly and Kristen Landon. And ranked number 1 in the class of 2021 is Jack Chilson. Jack is the son of Dr. Terrence Chilson and Dr. Rebecca Gramad Chilson. Congratulations, juniors. We are proud to present to you our seniors, the class of 2020. For those of you new to the Honors Banquet, we're continuing a tradition set a few years ago by roasting our seniors. Parents, siblings, friends, and sometimes teachers always have good stories to tell about our students. So now, as a final goodbye to the Honors Banquet class of 2020, the roasts will commence. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2020. Number 6 in the class is Emily Nichols. Emily is the daughter of Dennis and Debbie Nichols. Emily will enter college as an undeclared major and is still choosing between her top 3 schools. I have the pleasure of reading Emily's roast written by her mother. Emily has always kept us on our toes from the beginning. She was a 6-week preemie, anxious to show everyone that she was going to be smarter than her parents. At the age of 3, she was showing her grandma how to navigate her way around the computer. I thought for sure the amount of hours she spent on the computer playing Webkins and Pixie Hollow while talking to her friend Amanda, she was preparing herself for a career in the computer science or game design. Everyone who knows Emily knows how quiet and reserved she is. That was not always the case. When she was younger, we liked to spend our evenings outside after dinner, sitting in her great-grandma's yard to enjoy the peace and quiet of the evening, and so Emily could play outside. Everyone in the neighborhood knew when a bee, fly, or an insect flew past or near Emily. She would immediately start screaming and run through the yard thinking that anything that flew past was a bee coming toward her. Grandma would even keep a fly swatter on the bench next to her, so if something came too close, Emily could be rescued. I also knew Emily had 20/20 vision as well, because she could spot the tiniest insect or spider at night in her room and start calling for someone to come in to remove it for her. When Emily was younger and you asked her what she wanted to do when she got older, she wanted to own a pet shop. A few years later, in her school book memories, she would choose hairdresser, then artist. Well, now she is ending her senior year, and Emily has decided that she will attend college as undeclared so she can explore all the career paths that are open to her and pick a career that she will enjoy doing and also find fulfilling. I know that whatever she chooses, she will be great at. Number 5 in the class is Elizabeth DeMarco. Elizabeth is the daughter of Chris and Ann DeMarco. Elizabeth will soon be midshipman 4th class DeMarco and has been awarded a Navy ROTC nursing scholarship to Penn State University. Mrs. Elias has the pleasure of reading Elizabeth's roast.
The following memories are compliments of Elizabeth's mother, Anne, and the composition, compliments of her father, Chris. Elizabeth was born 6 days after 9/11, as we waited for news of our dear friend Kate's husband, an FDNY firefighter lost at Ground Zero when towers fell. Her arrival brought joy to our world, to a circle of friends and family that didn't know if or how our lives could ever be joyful again. Elizabeth's first smile was given to Kate at Bob's memorial service, a sign of the wonderful things ahead for everyone who meets her. Elizabeth's first few years were a strange existence. She spoke a dialect understood only by Anne and our 6-year-old neighbor, Jennifer. As long as one of her translators were present, her basic needs were met. Her other friends, imaginaries, as she called them, seemed to understand her grunts and obey her commands as well. True happiness and self-fulfillment were more difficult to find because of her irrational fears of dressed-up characters like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. I remember carrying her at a Red Barons game when suddenly she howled and tried to crawl through my chest to escape Grump, who was 3 sections away. And terror lurked around every corner in her darkest enemy, the wind. More than once, Elizabeth was chased screaming down our driveway by a rustling pile of leaves. In January 2005, Elizabeth's brother Nicholas was born, and through that event, Elizabeth was transformed into the person we know today. With Nicholas and her 2 younger sisters arriving 2 and 4 years later, Elizabeth became a caregiver. She mastered diaper changing, feeding, dressing, bathing, and every parent's most challenging task, the bedtime routine. Only Nanny could come close as second place to Mommy in the eyes of Elizabeth's younger siblings. She held Nicholas and Sarah's hands with her left hand and lodged Leah on her right hip and went about her role as second mother. Elizabeth's early demons are never too far away. At times, she is still paralyzed by worry over critical issues. She must know on Sunday what is for dinner on Tuesday. She stresses over who thinks they may get her bedroom when she leaves for college. And a new dialect emerged later in life, a deep, unintelligible mumble that maybe her imaginaries understand, but no one else does. Now, Elizabeth is embarking on the next step of her life. Having conquered high school as a 3-sport athlete and 2-time captain while settling into the top 6, Elizabeth is taking all the love and care she showed her younger brother and sisters to Penn State University, College of Nursing, and a chance to serve her country as a Navy nurse. One of the speakers at a nursing school open house we attended with Elizabeth said, "I cannot imagine how proud you parents must be to have raised a child who would even consider a career of serving others as a nurse. It's true. We could not have imagined in those dark days back in September 2001 that we would ever be so proud to know and love Elizabeth and to send her out into the world to do wonderful things." Number 4 in the class of 2020 is Caitlin Pasternak. Caitlin is the daughter of Ron and Cheryl Pasternak and will be attending Penn State University main campus as an undecided major with an interest in pursuing a degree in information technologies. Her roast will be read by Mrs. Conley.
On Thanksgiving Day 2001, we were blessed with our daughter Caitlin, a truly beautiful little girl who captivated us with an adorable smile and sweet personality. Our lives were forever changed. As a toddler, Caitlin was once asked if she would like to have a sibling. She gave the question some thought and then replied, "No, just Kayan." Caitlin's passion for books and reading began at an early age. At 18, she still reads Harry Potter. We wouldn't be surprised if she joins the Quidditch team at Penn State. At 5, Caitlin began playing piano and performing in recitals. Her favorite music? Rap. Around this same time, Caitlin started taking karate, which has become the most significant influence in her life. When she was 8, Caitlin was sparring a black belt in class. He was 15 years old and nearly twice as tall as her. In seconds, she flipped him in the air and dropped him to the mat. No one saw that coming, especially her opponent. Caitlin continued to train in karate. At 11, she earned her first degree black belt and became one of the first and youngest girls to achieve this honor in the 30-year history of Robinson's Martial Arts Institute. Speaking of history, Caitlin has won the Social Studies Award. Mrs. Shebby must be so proud. Caitlin now holds a second-degree black belt. She's sure to be a powerful force at Penn State. And so, to our dear Caitlin, best wishes from your family, your dearest friends, and all those who truly love you for who you are. May you always follow your dreams, believe in yourself, trust your abilities, and never settle for less than you deserve. Your future is bright, and a great success awaits you. Love, Mom and Dad. Number 3 in the class of 2020 is Hannah Lee Nichols. Hannah Lee is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ken Nichols. Hannah Lee will be attending Messiah College. She will be participating in their honors program and will get a bachelor's in mathematics with a secondary teaching certificate. I will now read a roasting of Hannah Lee Sarah Nichols by her loving parents. As opposed to her older sister, Alyssa, who at birth greeted the doctor and nurses with a firm handshake, introduced herself, and asked them to be her friend, Hannah Lee took a whole different route. You see, Hannah Lee is what some people call an introvert, whatever that is. Whereas her elder sister talked and talked and talked enough for a whole family of auctioneers, Hannah Lee was silent. And when she did talk, Hannah Lee said things like, but she said it with great feeling. Most of the time, if we asked our girls a question, Hannah Lee would look at her older sister to see how she'd react. Thereafter, Hannah Lee followed with a giggle and a nod of her head. Also, whereas Alyssa loved greeting strangers with open arms, introducing herself, and asking if they'd be her friend, Hannah Lee would cling to the back of Mommy's pant legs. She would cling to Mom all day if she could. We have vivid memories of Mommy placing a child gate in Hana Lee's doorway so she could vacuum just outside. And there was Hana Lee crying for her mother, who was only 2 feet away. This introversion is clearly not something Daddy would understand. Hana Lee took shy to warp speed. She even gave us a shy look when we took her picture, or she'd hang on Mom's leg again. As far as her speech, we began to wonder if there was a problem. We took her to a doctor and then a specialist to check her hearing. All systems were go. Therefore, we resorted to auxiliary power. We enrolled the use of a speech therapist for 2 years. As quiet as she was, some of her phrases or words she came up with were classic, and we started to quote her a lot. Some of her phrases became cemented into our family lexicon. An example was Hana Lee looking for her mother with the query, "Mama, wah, ooh, ah." If Daddy was looking for Mommy, he'd call, "Mommy, wah, ah." And if you asked Hana Lee a question, no matter what question, she curtly answered, "I not know," and continued to focus on what she was focused upon. We still say this. During one mealtime, Daddy decided he'd play a joke on the kids and pretend that the cookies were all for him. He said with an evil laugh, "Ha ha ha ha, they're all for me, all for me." Hana Lee's righteous indignation propelled her to exclaim, "They for everybody." Yep, you guessed it, we said this the last 14 years. Our favorite Hana Lee quote that can make Daddy cry came about while walking to the bus stop to pick up Alyssa one day. While holding Daddy's hand, little Hana Lee asked, "Daddy, you think me cute?" He looked down at her sincere eyes and could not help but gush love all over her. After we picked up her sister from the bus stop, the only one talking all the way home was Alyssa. Remember we said Hana Lee loved her mother? Hana Lee was visiting with my grandmother apart from Mom. She did not want to be there and wanted to be with Mommy. So she did the logical thing and she bolted out the back door. My grandmother saw her run out the door, up the driveway, and onto a busy Bartron road. As she called for Hana Lee to come back, she saw a strange car stop next to her. The door opened, and my grandmother saw her great-granddaughter climb into the stranger's car and take off. My grandmother panicked and got in her car and raced in the direction of the stranger's car with Hana Lee in it. My grandmother found that the car led to our house. Hana Lee had directed the stranger to bring her home so she could be with Mom. When Mom asked Hana Lee what happened, Hana Lee said matter-of-factly, "I runned away." Hana Lee had always had excellent attention to detail, and she's super competitive. Everything she did with incredible precision. We still remember her softball coach marveling at her perfect sliding form. One of Dad's favorite memories was dancing with her for her dance class. All the dads danced with their daughters. Daddy believes that we were the best. Hana Lee loves to follow the rules. We all know this to be true. In fact, we told her that her roast was going to include fictitious events where she was disobedient. When Daddy coached her in anything, she was always in the perfect place. Daddy could always count on her, no matter her age, to be in the right place. One of our family rules was to do homework before playing. She took studies seriously, as well as this rule. On one of the first gorgeous days of spring, after the bus dropped off the kids, Daddy said, "Hana Lee, you aren't allowed to do any homework until you spend time riding your bike." Hana Lee cried and cried because she was not allowed to do homework first. One particular rule that she did follow, although not quite what Mom had in mind, brings this hilarious story. The girls' laundry had more shirts and pants in it than underwear. Mom was alarmed and wanted to make sure that the girls were wearing clean underwear each day. Therefore, Mom issued a decree. "I had better see a pair of panties in the dirty laundry for each day, so I know you're putting on clean underwear." Hana Lee decided to wear 5 pairs of panties on at a time, layered and removed 1 pair each day to place in the laundry, just like Mom said. Alyssa thinks this was very resourceful. Have we mentioned Hana Lee's artistic talent? Hana Lee is quite the artist, and she should be. A time we'll never forget is when we found circles written all the way up and down the staircase and on the walls. She wasn't following the rules that day, which brings us to the new topic, Hana Lee's ability to focus. She was laser focused that day. She drew hundreds of plain circles in pencil in all different sizes. When asked what she was doing, Hana Lee said, "Practicing circles, Mommy." As Hana Lee aged, her speech became much better, but still funny for other reasons. Ask her how to pronounce Yosemite. Ask her what "I smell popcorn" means. When we think of Hana Lee, we think of sweetness, amazing love for others, focus, and sincerity. These qualities fuel her ability to nurture children at camps, teach junior church, shepherd her younger brothers, reach out and help a friend, write out an encouragement card, help a customer at the Dietrich, and tutor others in math. Hana Lee has grown in leaps and bounds. That once shy, introverted girl has become more outgoing. Thank goodness the Velcro tape on Mom's leg was finally removed, and she no longer lives in the shadows of her older sister either. She has become fiercely independent in her choices, many times purposing to do the opposite of what her older sister was doing. Once at her sister's college, Messiah, Hanali said, "I would never go there. I like Houghton College. That's where I want to go." The joke's on Hanali. In her own conclusion, she has decided that Messiah is where she wants to be, where she is supposed to be. We guess purposing to not follow in her sister's footsteps backfired that time. Dearest Hanali, you have brought us much joy and many smiles. It is a blessing and privilege to be your parents. We thank God for you and the opportunity to be your parents. We know God has quite a plan for you, a plan for hope and a future. We can't wait to see it. We love you, Hanali. The class of 2020 salutatorian is Thomas Elias. Thomas is the son of Samuel and Susan Elias. He will be attending the University of Scranton as a physics major and theology religious studies minor while participating in the special Jesuit liberal arts honors program. Mr. Landon will read Thomas's roast.
Thomas's roast is written by Thomas's mother and father. Dear Thomas, or as I like to refer to him as, Sir Thomas Elias. Around March 11, Emma and Mom were driving home from school and were hysterically laughing at the material they were banking for your roast. In the 5 short blocks from the high school to our house, they were literally in tears laughing so hard. Here's the best stuff from that ride home. Thomas, you have a constant need for structure. Surprises are unwelcome and flexibility is limited. And that's probably why you loved planned naps. You're a champion napper. When you were little, and every so often to this day, you can't wake up from a nap without being a violent monster. If you fell asleep on a long car ride, we've stooped so low as to ask your siblings' friends to wake you up. Don't judge us. It was self-preservation. We figured you'd go easier on them than us. We were only wrong about 75% of the time. Your most famous Thomas quote is, "What's for breakfast?" Your second most famous quote is, "What's for second breakfast?" And did we mention your love of naps? And of course, your third famous quote, "Is there anything for dessert?" Oh yes, another favorite quote just uttered today. "I just did a really hard physics problem. I need a nap." And that really is the end of the roasting and toasting. There's not much else to tease you about. But there is a lot to thank you for. Maybe it's all the blessings we've discovered during quarantine, or maybe we're just terribly sad to see this great adventure end. You've entertained us for a lot of years, Tom, and the last 4 have been epic. But we're switching gears from a roast to more like a thank you note. So, thank you for all you've worked hard to become. We are in awe of your inquisitiveness, in admiration of your faith in God, and in amazement of your work ethic. We'd love to watch your relationship with your siblings and feel lucky that you're all close in different ways. Yet another blessing of a big family. You stick with Maggie for academic and the ISLI discussions, Joe for weird boy, teenage boy humor and hikes, and Emma for everything else. You were Emma's fearless leader for the first 5 years of her life, and some ways you continue to be. She'd do anything for you. Thank you for blazing your own trail. You figured out what is important to you, and you excelled at those things. Oh, how we will miss the nightly saxophone hour. It was true joy to get private concert every night for 4 years. To your credit, the practice paid off. You started in 5th grade with scales and are ending your high school music career with Charlie Parker, Stan Kenton, and the Big Fat Band. Musically, it's been your best year yet. You made districts. Thank you for heading into everything you do, auditions, interviews, tests, confident you prepared well and truthfully. We love the way that in all you do with honor. But most of all, we just love you for being you. You are a gift. Love, Mom and Dad. And now it gives me great pleasure to present the class of 2020 valedictorian, Ronnie Shrivastava. Ronnie is the daughter of Marcy and Hemant Shrivastava. Ronnie will be attending Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York, to study biomedical engineering. Ronnie's roast has been penned by her parents. Ronnie, R-A-N-I, or is it spelled W-A-N-I? Ronnie received speech therapy, poor girl. She couldn't say her own name. She couldn't pronounce the letter R. Congratulations, Wani. She turned out to be the top student in her class, so we all know how intelligent and intuitive Ronnie is. She has formulated a hypothesis regarding one of her family members. Ronnie has put hour upon hour of contemplation into this premise. After years of deep thought, Ronnie has concluded and asserts that one of her family members is a spy, that this family member purports to not understand English as a spoken language, but she knows this family member fully understands English and has spent their life working as a secret agent. On more than one occasion, Ronnie has convincingly regaled her class with tales of this family spy. Possibly she should consider seeking employment with the CIA. In all seriousness, for someone who may grow up and cure infectious diseases for a living, she wasn't worried about germs when she was little and she was biting her brother Balin, or didn't use soap to wash her hands, and didn't like to brush her teeth. Through most of elementary school, Ronnie wore 2 French braids every day. Even during summer break when her mom was working, her dad would need to bring her to mom's work to have her hair braided. Then we got to middle school, and it was 1 braid with a headband every day. Now it is very large Salvation Army sweatshirts. No girl can have too many, she says. Yeah, that's stylish. Maybe she has gotten her sense of style from all the Barbie vlogs she watches on YouTube. She is a fashionista. She has always envisioned herself as Violet from The Incredibles, when in reality she looks more like Boo from Monsters, Inc. or Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. But admittedly, she does have good taste in cartoon characters. Her first crush was Diego from Dora the Explorer. You may think Ronnie is so smart, but when her grandma writes down recipes for her, she has to write butter, enough to fit in your palm, or 1 pinch of salt, so that Ronnie can understand the measurements. Ronnie always told her grandma, "You think Balin is so smart. If I were 2 years older, I would be just as smart as him." When she was learning her phone number for kindergarten, she would get 836, and then when you would ask her for what came next, she would say 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't even ask how she learned to drive. Her grandfather is still recovering from being tipped upside down in the gator in a field while teaching her. But Ronnie is very graceful. Not. She disrupted 3 vacations with her gracefulness before she was 5. One year she decided to stand on a ball about an hour before leaving for the beach. She fell and cracked her wrist, so we spent hours in the emergency room and missed out on a day at the beach. Another time at Disney, she dislocated her wrist, and we got to visit an emergency room in Florida as well. Another time at the beach, she fell on some steps and gouged her eyelid, creating lots of blood and a scar that still remains. And you should have seen her during this year's sports seasons. During volleyball, there was a time when she was getting chiropractic treatment and therapy for her back, all while nursing a sprained ankle, which she would hop on 1 foot on and off the court, as well as fingers taped due to jamming them, just to make it through her senior year. Then we moved to basketball. She wore braces on both ankles, a knee brace due to a new injury this year, and then was still getting treatments for her back. She also wore a wrap or brace on her left wrist. She was a total mess. We recently found out that her back problems were due to some fancy moves she was trying to perfect in TikTok videos she was making. The volleyball team was so fierce with her leadership that they won the Sportsmanship Award for being nice on the court to the refs and other players. Tunkhannock had never won this award before, so yay. The wrap on her wrist was to protect her claim to fame. You can ask her about this superpower later. Ronnie is known for saying school is just a social event, which is odd given her amount of friends. 1. Ronnie and her friend Ariel would park next to each other in the morning before school started. They would be in their separate cars, heads down, texting each other. Always the overachiever, Ronnie mastered social distancing even before it was a thing. She even thought she was too cool for the Christmas dance, so she and Ariel left early for Dunkin' and Chicken McNuggets. Yes, that is much more fun than one of the popular social events for the year. Congratulations, Ronnie. Your family, friends, and teachers are very proud of you. We truly do know how hard you worked at doing this, and it really is a great accomplishment. We love you. You will always be our number one, our favorite daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2020.
As we close this evening's ceremony, we thank you, the students. You are the heart and soul of education. We thank you, the parents, for encouraging your students and making education a priority in your home. Thank you to Mrs. Maria O'Boyle for her inspiring words and for adjusting to this virtual banquet format. High school would also like to thank the TASD administration and board of directors for supporting a rigorous and engaging high school curriculum. We'd like to thank Hannah Zaleski and Devin Clark for designing our printed programs, Mr. Jan Sechek for mentoring his graphic art interns and printing the program. We thank Mr. Chuck Richter for providing the audio and video production for tonight's program, and a special thanks to Susan Elias and her team of school counselors for putting this program together and orchestrating all that it takes to make this event possible. But more importantly, we thank you again for joining us this evening. We wish you all a good night.